All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started since we're at the top of the hour here. Thanks for calling in from all the different countries you're calling in from. For some, it's morning, afternoon, evening. I'm in San Francisco here, so it's early morning for me. So it's fun to see you all here on the call. And thanks for introducing yourselves in the chat. Feel free to do that if you're just joining now. We're going to talk all about AI and media literacy today, which is a topic that close to my heart. I have two sons who are in middle school, so thinking about exploring technology and really building up their media literacy skills, and thinking about how we can do that for all our students in this age of AI and technology as they're exploring new things. So I will just get us started on a few things before we jump into the content. This is a screenshot of Big Marker, the tool that we're in now instead of Zoom. So I see that people are already in the chat, but I'll just show you around in case this tool is new to you. You have chat here on the right-hand side. You can type in the bottom, similar to Zoom. You also have Q&A tab up here. So if you have a question, please put it in there. It'll be a little bit easier for us to find there. And then you have a CC button here. That'll allow you to turn on closed captions in different languages. So if that's helpful to you, feel free to use that. And then in the bottom, we also have some emoji reactions. So those are always fun if you want to use those. And yeah, keep saying hi in the chat and we'll keep an eye on that as we go through today. Okay, so to introduce ourselves, I know some of you are repeat customers, so thanks for joining if you have joined in the past, but also excited if you're new to our webinars. My name is Zareen Levien. I'm the Education Marketing Manager here. I've been here for about a year and a half, leading all the webinars and trainings and custom PDs, and also developing content for educators. Before I joined Padlet, I worked in the San Francisco School District for a long time. So these are some of my former students. I also was a teacher in high school and elementary school, but for a long time I was a digital learning coach, and I got to see a lot of teachers in a lot of different subject areas and grades using digital tools like Padlet. So I'm excited to share more of that with you today and think about how we can use some of the new things with AI and literacy that we're going to explore. And we also have Chelsea here with us. Chelsea, do you want to say hello?
Yes. Hi there. Thanks so much for joining us, you all. I'm Chelsea with Padlet Customer Operations. Anytime you're going to be writing into hello@padlet.com, you're likely going to be speaking with me or one of our other representatives, a part of our team, and I'm going to be answering the Q&A for you all today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. We're lucky to have Chelsea on the call. As she said, she's one of our small but mighty operations team members. So they answer all your questions. You can always email them. I'll share that email later on in case you have a question later. But for now, yeah, feel free to keep using the chat and especially the Q&A if you have a pressing question that you want to make sure that we see. Okay, so we are going to get started and then share some AI and media literacy examples, and then share some resources. So simple agenda, but lots packed in here. I like to just start out really quickly because there's always some folks newer to Padlet. So I'm just going to say a few things about Padlet. We're on a Padlet right now on this, and actually I'll put these resources in the chat so you all have them as well. And you can use any of these resources later or refer to them. There's a lot linked on here because I was having fun putting some things together. But if you're newer to Padlet, we have some Padlets often look like this. They have little boxes on the page, post boxes. You can add new posts to Padlet down here. And so you can easily start a Padlet and then share it with students. Students can participate on a Padlet. Anyone can start a new Padlet account. So I'll just show you at padlet.com here. You can come to padlet.com. If you don't yet have an account, you can create one and you can use everything I'm showing you for free. You're just limited to how many Padlets you can make. So how many boards or sandboxes. You can make 3 for free. So I really recommend if you're just go ahead and make a free account and try it out a little bit, make some things, and then you can see later if you want to have more Padlets, you can check out our subscriptions. But it's really quite simple to start a board. you just click on a blank board, or Sandbox is our whiteboard tool. You can click on a wall and you can just start adding posts here. So you can say hello, and we'll try adding some posts in a minute. So you can see it's really easy for teachers and students to make a board. You can put a question up here if you want to have a kind of opening question or an exit ticket. So encourage you to join up with Padlet and play around if you aren't already in there. Okay, so moving forward, the first thing I wanted to share with you, talking about AI, there's many different AI tools. And one of the tools that I think is really fun in Padlet is our AI image tool. And I know some of you have seen it before, but I have a couple of new examples for you to check out. So this one is kind of fun. We've been playing with this one a little bit. I'll put a link in the chat. So if you want to join me on, let me just put that again, make sure that linked okay. There we go. If you want to join me on this first one, this one is making yourself an AI image of yourself in a different time period. So here you can see there's a person in the Renaissance period, a person in ancient Egypt. So you can come over here to the bottom right and add your own AI image. So you're going to click on the plus button, and then you're going to click this green button right here to create your own AI image. And then you're going to put in a prompt here for yourself. So you're going to try to describe yourself if you want to, but put yourself in some other time period. So I'm going to say woman. So you can describe your characteristics. And I'm going to put myself in the 1920s jazz era, because I always thought that would be fun to live in that. And I'm going to give myself a microphone too. So you can put in any description like that. And you can also put your prompt in any language. So if you speak another language, to put your prompt in another language. And the AI image generator is going to come back with a couple of different options for you. If you don't like those options, you can put in a new prompt, and then it'll give you some different options. So this can also be a good way for students to practice their descriptive language. So you can give them, you can see what they come up with, and you can prompt them to be more descriptive. So let me see, I think I like this one. So I'm going to add in my own, let me put in a title here as well. I'll check my settings here. Great. So you can go ahead and try that. You can make more than one image if you want. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to say a couple of things about AI images. AI images can be really fun. You can just make funny images. You can make pictures of animals. You can really put in any prompt that you want. But one thing I think is really powerful about AI images is when you connect it to some academic topic that you're working on. So if you all are about to study an ancient civilization or a different era, in the US, it might be the American Revolution, or you might be studying past world wars, whatever topic you're studying, to let students explore it visually and think about what would they have looked like in that time period. Or if you want to depict certain important events, you could make an AI image about that. And it just kind of engages their thinking and their ideas and sparks their creativity in a different way as you're getting into maybe a unit that you're doing. So it could be an opener to a unit that you're doing, or it could be after you learned a little bit about that time period, and then people can explore it visually in this way. Could be also fun in the class to have people try to make themselves like you're doing now in these different eras, and then guess who's who. So that could be another layer on top. But lots of different ways you can use AI images connected to your lessons, whether you're using it to make an image connected to a presentation, or whether you're having students do kind of a fun activity like this. These look great. Thank you for sharing. I also have reactions turned on here. So if you're enjoying anybody's image, you can give them a little heart under here. I see lots of creative time periods. These are great. Well, feel free to add more than one image if you want to experiment with different prompts. And I'll just show you a couple of other ideas here. This next one I was having fun playing around with last night. So this one, I'll put this one in the chat. This is making some famous figures with these AI generated images. For a lot of these, you could use a real image as well, but some of them are from longer ago when there weren't photos. So an AI image is helpful there. The question here, it's similar to some people have done this activity called which one doesn't belong or which one belongs together. So in each of these groups, I'm asking you which two or three do you think belong together and why? So I might say, I think Gandhi and Nelson Mandela belong together. So I might put that comment in here, and you can add comments here too if you want. Nelson Mandela, because they were both important leaders for their country. So you could have students do something like this, where you put a set of images. It could be people or it could be other kinds of images, and then you have them comment. So if you'd like to join me, you're welcome to comment on which of these folks you think belong together and why. You can also scroll down here. I have a few different categories. So I have some mostly scientists and artists here in this next category. I was having fun brainstorming some different people last night. Some different folks down here in group 3. And with all of these, you could have students actually have a conversation about what they see in the picture, or what they think is connected. And an activity like this, I really appreciate too, because there isn't just one right answer. There's a lot of options to think and make different connections and to have discussions about why 2 or 3 of these folks belong together, why one might be different, or maybe all 4 belong together. And then I have just a fun one at the end here that's a little bit different than the others. So a lot of things you can do to engage students thinking and have it as a discussion prompt, and just to get them excited about seeing different images and thinking about them. Okay. Yeah. Oh, great. I see some comments in the chat over here. Yes, feel free to write that in the chat if you see some connections there, or put the comment directly on the board somewhere here under commenting. Yeah, so many connections and so many powerful people here on this. Oh, great. I see some comments over here. Da Vinci and Benjamin Franklin, Pursuit of Knowledge. Lovely. So you can imagine students having fun with this. Ooh, Leah and Katniss, Rebel Warriors. Lovely. So you can make some fun images, or you could even put this power in the hands of your students. They could come up with some kind of sets of images to prompt discussions about people who belong together. Or it wouldn't have to be people as well. It could be different kinds of images or locations, or different ecosystems. If you're in a science class, you could relate it to whatever you're studying and have some fun activities to. And then one more here. This was an idea from a librarian that I thought was really fun, making your own book covers. So whatever book students are reading, whether they're reading different books or the same book, you could have them create an AI image that is their own book cover, based on what they've read, based on what they think is important in the story that they're reading. So that's another way you could kind of engage their thinking in a visual way by making their own book cover. All right, well, thank you for your participation there. So the next thing I wanted to show you about is on Padlet, there is a way to make a whole Padlet board with an AI recipe. So I'm going to come back to Padlet, and I'm going to come to my make page. So I was showing you before, there are a couple of different ways to make Padlets. You can make a blank board. You can make a blank sandbox, which is a whiteboard. And then down below here, you make an AI recipe. So what that means is you're going to put a prompt in, kind of like you would prompt ChatGPT, but instead of giving you text, it's going to give you a Padlet. So you can make a lesson plan, you can make a timeline, you can even make a map just by prompting AI. So let's give it a try here. So I'm going to imagine that I wanted to put together some. Let's see, actually, I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to imagine that I wanted a book list here. I think I have, yes, let's do this. So I'm going to imagine that I had students who have many different interests. I was thinking about this because my son, they were just talking about what kinds of books they like to read in their English language arts class. So I'm going to say books. And so I'm going to say, give me some book choices in these different genres. And this might help my students who are looking for their next book to read, but people have different interests. Some of them might want science fiction, some of them might want historical fiction or realistic fiction, or a biography. So this will bring back a book list for me. So again, it's one of the many things that Padlet can do with these AI recipes. And it's one that's nice because it can generate those lists for you or generate ideas quickly that then you can continue to edit on your Padlet. And in the background, we're using AI tools, but we're using them privately. So all of your prompts stay private because we use paid versions of these tools. So here it brought me back pretty quickly. Some great suggestions for historical fiction, science fiction, realistic fiction. And I asked it for the middle grade, so ages about 11 to 13-year-olds. So a nice way that I can quickly gather information and share some book recommendations for my students. And then this is a regular Padlet now, so I can come in here and I can edit any of these. Maybe I want to change this description. Maybe I want to add a new post. The AI portion of it just kind of sets up my board and puts some initial posts on here. So after that, I can still continue adding and editing to it. Or I could even share this with students and have them add their favorite books if we want to have kind of a shared book list together. And I'll show you one more important tool. You might have seen this. This is our newest tool. It's called Padlet TA. And I'll put the link in to the chat for this one. Let me just get to the right window here. Okay. Oh, where did I get to type the book recommendation and which recipe? Let me just review that because I clicked on that kind of quickly. So if you want to try the AI recipe, first of all, you have to be in a teacher role. So check that you're in a teacher role in your account. And then, and that would be in your settings here. And then you're going to come to the make page. And at the bottom of the make page, there's AI recipes. And so you can click on any of these categories. The one that I clicked on was reading list. I encourage you to try all of these as you're exploring. And then this window pops out where I can put my prompt and ask for what grade level. So it can be great for read alouds for younger kids or for book recommendations for older students. And you can really put any topic in there. Thanks for that question. Okay, so we're about to talk about TA. TA can be found right here on the top of Padlet, or you can just type in ta.padlet.com. I also put it in the chat there. TA is also a tool where you can generate content with AI. Instead of creating Padlets, it creates documents and activities. You can sign in if you want to with your Padlet ID, or you can just use it without signing in. And Padlet TA is completely free, and you can make as many documents or activities as you want on TA. So there's a lot of cool things in here. At the top, it will show you some suggestions or recommendations based on your profile. So that's one reason it might be nice to sign in and give some information. So you can see that I've said that I'm an English teacher here, and it's given me some recommendations with that in mind. Down below here, you can do some of the things you can do in Padlet, generate an AI image. You can also do a random name picker, QR code generator, and then down below here, you can make documents. You can make, it's kind of think about it as like ChatGPT for teachers. So these categories are all meant to be things that teachers commonly use. So a lesson plan, worksheet, even have some interactive activities, a matching activity, fill in the blank activity. One of my favorites is this multiple choice quiz. So you can generate a quiz on any topic here. It'll give you some suggestions over here on the left-hand side. And you can even upload a document or lesson plan that you already have, and then it'll make your content based on that as the prompt. So that's a really nice way you can build on top of your existing materials. So I'm going to imagine I was a ninth grade or a year 9 English teacher, and I want to practice some vocabulary. So I'm going to go ahead and generate that. And you'll see that instead of generating a Padlet, it's going to give me a document. It'll just take about maybe 20, 30 seconds. And we've built all our own models kind of on top of the standard models that are out there to make it custom for education. So here I have questions that are all about Romeo and Juliet vocabulary. And so now that I can take this quiz or multiple choice quiz and I can export it. I can bring it over to Google Docs or a PDF and print it. Or one of my favorites is I can bring it to Google Forms. And then the really cool thing is it'll make a form that already has the right answers. I can share that directly with students, and you can see that the correct answer is marked. So that'll automatically be graded for students, and it can be a real assessment. I edit it, of course, with changing these text boxes, but that's one way you can make it interactive. And another way that you can make it interactive is by getting a student play link. So with my student play link, I'll put this in the chat so you all can play with it as well if you want to. You can, so this one won't save the answers, so you won't be able to grade students on this. The Google Forms option is the best for that. But if you just want students to practice, they could even be with a partner and talking about these, then they can come here and select the right answer that they want. And then when they're ready, they can hit submit and they'll get some feedback on those answers. So you can give that a try right now, see if you can decode some of this Romeo and Juliet vocabulary, and then check your answers and see how you did. And you can play it again and again, correct your answers. So that's more of that like practice, working on something, and then you can move later into a real assessment if you want to. So there are many things in Padlet TA. I recommend playing around with it a lot more. There's a lot to explore there. I won't go through all of the tools now, but that's there for you. And again, it's totally free to explore at ta.padlet.com. Okay, time goes by quickly, but I did want to spend a little bit of time talking about some media literacy ideas. There's a lot of information on media literacy, such an important topic. As I was thinking about it and looking up some resources on it, one thing that came out is just defining what it is and what are the core skills we want students to have as they're using these AI tools and just using technology and finding media and creating media themselves. And really thinking about how when they access media, starting there, that we want them to analyze it critically, evaluate the information. And then an important piece is also that they're creating their own media. And that's really going to give them the perspective, not just a passive consumer, but when they create something, what are the values that they're imparting? What is the objective? What are they trying to accomplish? Even in those images that we just made for the historical me, what was I trying to represent in those images? And when we're creators, we think more about that. And it gives us more information about when we consume other media, what was the intention of those creators. And then we can have those important ethical conversations about how we create media responsibly and how we share and consume information responsibly. So I'll share just a couple of ideas for how to do that on Padlet. But before that, I also have a bunch of resources here that from places that I think are really great. You might have other resources as well if you want to share anything in the chat for some great activities or content about media literacy. And again, this is on this board that I've shared with you. I'm just right now in this section for core media literacy. I'm going to put this whole board in the chat again in case anyone joined a little bit later to make sure you have access to that. But lots of great things here. Common Sense Media is always one of my favorites. They're actually going to do a webinar with us next month, but lots of other great projects, News Literacy Project, namely KQED, and there are many others out there that you might know as well that you can share with us in the chat if you want to. Okay, so that kind of talks about like, well, what is media literacy? What are we trying to accomplish? What are the core skills that I've mentioned here? Now, how would that play out on Padlet? So one thing is in that evaluation kind of analysis part of the skills, thinking about how can we talk about AI images and think about them. So this is an activity that I created, and I'll put this in the chat. where I put two images here, and one of them is a real image and one of them is an AI generated image. So I've done this actually and with adults, and it's fun to see what people choose. And I've put the answers in here as well. So if you want to use it later, you'll know what the right answers are. But this can spark some interesting conversations and kind of exercise our brains about that analysis piece. What are we looking at and how do we know when it's real or not? And sometimes it's not clear. And so being aware of that as well as we continue to consume media, to check sources and to use other tools to know what is real and what is not. So another point here is to have that discussion about what do you see in the picture. So for example, a student pointed this out to me. In this one is an AI generated image. You can see there's an extra paw in here for this cute little dog. And so you'll see some kind of little giveaways sometimes in images, and having students just start to think about those things and look for those things. And then another activity that's linked here, and you can copy any of these things. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Having students then make their own pair of images and create that creation part. So they can make their own images, find a real image and pair it with an AI image, and then try to guess what's real and what's not with the rest of the class. Before I move on, I just wanted to show you on any Padlet that I'm sharing, there's this remake button right here. So if you click on a remake button, it'll allow you to make a copy of this Padlet, go right into your account. So all I have to do is click remake there. I'll show you that on one other Padlet too. For example, if I like this historical me question, I can come over here and make a remake of this and share it with my students. I also have an option to only copy the admin posts. So I can kind of clear out all the student posts if I want to use this again and again, or if you want to remake mine that has a bunch of posts on it now. So if I remake that one, I have a clean copy with just a couple of examples at the top. And then you can kind of add the other things from your students. All right, so that was one idea. Another idea for kind of exploring media literacy and student created media on Padlet is just having students create their own things, whether they're making an AI image. This is an example of a presentation, so students could make their own kind of media book report here on a Padlet. Students could put videos together, whether you're doing it with a group of students or the whole class or an individual kind of recording their own videos. And again, that student created media piece is really important to develop their media literacy skills, because that's a really important part of how they think about media when they get to create it as well. And Padlet has all of these tools built in. So if I come over here, I can record my video or voice or images or AI images. And then one more media option here. Students could even create their own podcasts all on Padlet. So this is an AI image, some text, and then they could comment down here with an audio recording. So lots of ways students could create media on Padlet. And then the other piece of that is really having those discussions. Padlet is also really great for that. So you can ask a question. This board is very easy to set up. You can just ask a question. Should we use AI at school, or any other question that you want students to really consider, and have some of those critical thinking, ethical conversations about technology, media, and AI. And then students could respond in text here. They could comment on each other's ideas. And one thing I love about doing a discussion like this on Padlet is it's not just the students who are brave and want to raise their hand and talk in front of everybody. Everyone is invited to add their eyes here. And if you're a quieter student or a more talkative student, you still have the same access. And just I've heard again and again from teachers that more students participate when you give them these different places to share their ideas, where it's not dependent on talking in front of everyone or that kind of thing. As usual, the time went by really quickly. I want to do a few wrap-up items, but you have this board if you want to explore anything more deeply. I'll put it one more in the chat. so that you can bookmark it or come back to it later. But thank you so much for joining us. I have a few FAQs here. I know Chelsea's been answering some questions already, but here's some information about our free options, our subscriptions. We also have some PD courses if you want to go a little bit deeper we have an AI course actually, if you'd like to explore that, or just a general 101 kind of getting started course. So I put that link in the chat. We would really like your feedback with these sessions as we're going. I always want to try to make it better and make it better suited to your needs. So please take a minute and just answer the feedback form here in the chat. So actually, I don't have that linked here, but it's in the chat. And then I have a couple of other things coming up that I wanted to show you. We have some webinars coming up. And the one that I'm really excited about, actually, I didn't update the title here yet, but on September 17th, we are doing a webinar, Common Sense Media, with Sue Thoughts, one of my favorite people from Common Sense Media. If you want to go a little bit deeper into these topics of media literacy, she's going to share some great new resources that Common Sense is putting together, and we'll talk about how you can make those resources interactive on Padlet. So please go ahead and sign up for that special session coming up in September. We're going to continue to have the first Wednesday of the month be webinars about new features. So I hope to see you at one of those. Oh, great. Some people have already signed up for the ones next week. And you can do that now if you haven't yet. And I really hope to see you at those sessions. Thanks for coming, everyone. I know it's always goes by quickly, but we hope to see you again at a future session. And thanks again to Chelsea for all your questions and answers. If you have more questions that we didn't get to, you can email us at hello@padlet.com. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.